Hi everyone, this is Dr. Karan Madan, founder of Watch Enthusiast India, and welcome to the next episode on Collector's Perspective. Today I am going to be interviewing Abhishek Agarwal. Abhishek is a product developer for an apparel brand and has a keen interest in fashion, photography, travel, and of course watches. He is originally from Delhi and currently resides in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. He is a fellow moderator on Watch Enthusiast India and also manages the group's Instagram handle. Welcome, Abhishek.
Hi Karan,
Hi, Abhishek. So good to see you, man.
so good to see you. Yeah, I'm so envious of you guys. You had that GTG recently
Oh
in
yeah,
my city, and I couldn't be there.
No, we did this event after more than a year, and this was an amazing event.
I know the last time I was there when we did it in 2020. I mean,
Right,
just before the pandemic, we got together, and I got to
right.
meet you for the first time, and so many
Yes.
wonderful other people.
Oh yeah. Thankfully, this one went off pretty good too. We had sufficient participation, and hopefully, we
Hmm.
can this lays the ground for more events this year. Okay, so let's just dive into the interview then. So, how did you get into the hobby of watch collecting?
I think I've always been fascinated by watches from as early as my school days. I remember friends in school sporting very cool G-Shocks, and I wanted one, but I didn't really have the courage to ask my parents to buy me one.
Okay,
But one Diwali, a Casio Edfis was received as a gift, and it was too sporty for my dad, so I claimed my right to it. So
nice.
then it became my daily companion for over a decade. I wore it for about 12 years
Wow.
until
Okay,
I started working.
okay,
So since then, I've always had five or six watches, mostly quartz watches from fashion brands, but a good mix of styles and dial colors that
right.
went with different outfits.
Okay. So, do you still have that Casio device with you?
So this is the Casio, if you can see it.
Okay. Yeah, I can see it. Sure.
It's a Casio hunting timer,
Okay.
has alarm. I don't know how the hunting timer function works still, but it's a cool watch,
Yeah.
and it's seen a lot of my best days.
I'm sure. I'm sure. So, the first watch always holds amazing memories, right?
Yeah, and I'm really lucky I found it again. I thought I had lost it,
Okay.
but when we were moving houses, it resurfaced in a cleaning drive. Now I have it again, and I value it
Wonderful.
more than before, I guess.
You got married recently, so congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
So
please.
I was talking about this watch. The dial says it's a 10-year battery,
Okay.
and I bought it in 1998. I
Okay.
have not changed the battery since. So
So
it's
more than 20
2021,
years. Wow.
23 years it's been running, and we talk about quartz watches
Yeah.
needing, new batteries
Yeah.
all too soon, but this
Yeah.
one's been running without a battery change.
Terrific. I think everybody should have a quartz watch in their collection
Yeah.
because people shun quartz watches just because they say it doesn't have a soul. But I disagree. Some quartz watches are absolutely amazing. Okay, so walk us through the journey of how from that first Casio watch, what was next, what came next, and how you proceeded.
So the start of my next phase of collecting, I think, started in 2017.
Okay,
I had moved to Vietnam in 2016, so I'd been here for a year, and it was going to be my 30th birthday,
okay,
and I was having to spend a milestone birthday alone. So I thought I'd treat myself to something a little more extravagant than my normal shopping habits.
sure.
So what actually turned into watch collecting started with a basic search saying best milestone birthday gifts.
Oh, okay,
Yeah. But the
okay,
messaging across most results was very clear. It said
yeah,
bags, well-made shoes, jewelry, which I'm not a jewelry person, pens. I work in a paperless office. I'd
okay,
still like to get a good pen, but I don't really find daily use for pens.
sure,
And then watches.
okay,
So watches, I knew what I wanted. I'd always so my office in Delhi was in City Walk,
yeah,
and
okay,
in the next small DLF place, there's a good food court,
yeah,
and on the elevator, there's a escalator, there's a banner that says "Don't crack under pressure." It's a Tag Heuer advertisement.
right, yes,
That instantly clicked,
okay,
and I started looking for watches. I mean, I've always loved watches, but
sure,
I thought it was insane to spend that kind of money on a timepiece.
okay,
But then I started searching and countless hours of binging
right,
on YouTube channels.
right,
So that's how I think I got into watches. And all the websites and videos that I had been watching, and with the budget I had in mind, I landed on the Raymond Wheel Freelancer
Okay.
and the Oris Aquis as my two options.
Right.
I think all the search results said the Oris Aquis is the best watch to get
Yeah.
as your first watch,
Sure.
which I now believe it is. I agree 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I didn't, in my wildest dream, imagine I'd be getting a second watch. So this decision needed to be really perfect.
Yeah.
So I ran both of these options by my brother-in-law, who also happens to be on our group but is not as active.
Okay. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, he's a man of few words, but there are often words you need to hear and you don't really want
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
hear.
It's the quiet ones who give the best advice at times, you know?
Right. It's great to have some people
Yeah.
like that around you who can
Yeah.
tell you what is good for you despite what you think.
Right.
So I was really hoping for him to align on the Oris,
Uh-huh.
since it was and still is the, inarguably the best budget luxury watch.
Mm-hmm.
But he convinced me instead, and I still remember that conversation very clearly. He said, the Oris is a very nice looking watch, but you are only doing it once. So you should get something more premium.
Mm-hmm.
And not because you have to, but because you can.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
if you can, then you should get something premium.
Okay. And
Which
what did
I
you settle
kind
with?
of, yeah. So then I started searching again. I mean, I wasn't really convinced, but I started searching again that if there were really options slightly more than my budget that I liked a lot more.
Okay.
So I thought aimless binging will not hurt, but it did. And my two options were quickly replaced with the Speedmaster Racing Chrono
Uh-huh.
and the Super Ocean Heritage.
Okay.
I like both of those watches. I was primarily a rubber guy at that time.
Uh-huh.
So both of those were on rubber and they looked spectacular.
Yeah.
Racing Chrono, from all the reviews that I read and heard, it kind of lived in the shadow of the professional Speedmaster.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
And doing that kind of a spend for the first time, I didn't want to be in the shadow of anything.
Fair enough.
So I went with my Breitling
Okay.
Super Ocean, which I absolutely love to the day.
Wow.
It is
And
here.
that is a great watch, to be honest. And anyway, you look at it, the Breitling Super Ocean Heritage series, the series of amazing watches, well built, great movements inside, carries the classic Breitling DNA in there.
It does. I mean, it's often ignored in this category of dive watches
Yes.
at
Yes.
around the $3,000 to $4,000 mark.
Right. Right.
But I think it's a winner in my book.
Yeah. And I think Breitling's Diver series is kind of, I mean, all the rest are overshadowed by the Avenger and the Colt series. Those are the ones that people grab thinking that it's classic Breitling. But I think the Super Ocean Heritage really deserves the respect from collectors. Yeah.
I was reading a report, 2021 report. It said now the Super Ocean line accounts for more than 40% of their business.
No, look
So
at that.
it
Okay.
means that it has really taken off.
Certainly. But 40% of total Breitling business, and that too, I mean, you won't find the Super Ocean Heritage on a layperson's wrist. Mostly you would find them on collectors' wrists who are serious connoisseurs of watches. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that speaks a
It's
lot.
a watch that connoisseurs also appreciate and the layman
Yes.
also likes. I mean,
Certainly.
this is one of the watches that I have been complimented on, and by the layman, by my friends, all my friends love it.
Yeah.
Every next watch that I get, they compare it to this one.
And I'm sure you do too, because technically it was your first luxury watch.
100%, yes.
Yeah. Nice. That's great to know. Okay, so you've told me about. Okay, so what came next? What you were already deep into the hobby by now. So what came next?
Well, next came a 6-slot box, and then a desire to fill it up very quickly.
Yeah.
So I got. I can't even recall the next 10 watches that I got, but the second one was definitely a Hamilton khaki.
Okay.
Very interesting story around it too. I bought it in New York. It was my first trip to US.
Okay.
And I wanted, now that I'm in the hobby now, I'm looking for occasions to mark the next purchase.
Sure.
So my first trip to US, I wanted to mark with a watch.
Okay.
And I was just shopping at Macy's at the Empire State Building. And right across there was a watch boutique, a Swatch Group outlet. So they had all the Swatch Group brands.
Uh-huh.
And there I found this Hamilton khaki, which is not with me anymore.
Okay.
But I decided to buy it. they needed my passport. My passport was back at the hotel.
Okay.
I took a cab, went to the hotel, came back. It ended up landing a lot more than, I paid about 50% in taxi commutes
Yeah, sure,
of the
sure.
watch cost. So, yeah. And then there were a few Orients and Dan Henry,
Sure.
uh, Seiko,
Uh-huh.
Seiko 5, some
Yeah,
Casios. I don't have any of those now,
right,
but they've all been a part of the learning curve, learning
sure,
about myself. What do I like?
right,
What do I think I like? And versus what I actually wear.
right. I think I got in touch with you on social media during the last stages of your Seiko and Hamilton and Orient phases. By that time, I think you were already trying to look upscale, go upscale, and get rid of the Seiko, the number of Seikos you had, of course, to consolidate your collection.
More than that, I was looking for, familiarity in my collecting community. I
Right.
was on a lot of groups. I was not on Way at that time
Uh-huh.
when we spoke for the first time.
Yeah.
Uh, so people in different countries think differently.
Certainly.
And
I agree. Yes.
I mean, $1,000 does not mean the same to an American as it does to an Indian.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Because you convert it, it becomes 70,000, 75,000 bucks.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I
And
was
that's
looking for
big money in India. Yeah. I agree.
yeah. So I was kind of looking to find some familiarity and some relatability in collecting community,
Uh-huh.
which is when I found Way.
Okay, so what are your three most favorite watches from your collection?
And anyone who hasn't followed my journey and just looks at my collection would never guess it right. But my absolute favorite watch is still the Breitling Super Ocean Heritage.
Okay, sure.
Not because what it means to me or is it my first watch. I mean, I keep sentiments aside when I'm saying it's my favorite watch. But for what it really is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a sports watch at the core, but it's disguised in a very clean aesthetic. It can handle the office on a leather strap, the outdoors on a rubber strap,
Sure.
or special occasions with that beautiful mesh bracelet
Yeah.
that it comes with.
Right, right.
That really
Absolutely.
classes this watch up.
Mhm.
Currently, rubber is what it finds most use on in my collection. I love the AR coating on the crystal, which misses on my Rolex.
Yeah.
And it lets me stare right into the dial at
Yeah.
almost any angle.
Sure.
I can, look at all the indices and the details. I mean, a lot of people don't know that the deploying buckle also has the glide adjustment
Yes,
inside. So you
exactly.
can push and glide,
Yes.
which is a very useful feature
Which
to
is
me
absolutely
every day.
amazing. Oh yes, I completely agree. I mean, once I've used that feature on multiple watches, now I realize the benefits of having an adjustable clasp and on-the-fly adjustment.
Right. So that's, fasteners, apart from the case and the dial, fasteners and straps have always been a factor in my buying decisions.
Sure.
I've come close to getting the new Seamaster in white dial
Yeah.
on the black rubber strap,
Right.
and it's a beautiful watch. It's a very
It is.
beautiful watch.
It is true. Yes. I think that's the ceramic dial on the white is
Yeah.
miles ahead of any other. I think the
I
gray comes a
agree.
little close because of the contrast with the blue bezel, but the
Right.
regular black, the regular blue, I think they're nice, but not that nice.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would absolutely get it in a heartbeat the moment they update it to that, deploying clasp and glide adjustment.
Oh yeah, certainly. I think we're all waiting for that. It's in due course it
think
will
it should
happen. Yeah.
Because it's already there on the Aquaterra, so it's
Yes,
a
exactly.
matter of time when it
Right.
gets
Right.
adopted for the Seamaster.
Sure. Okay. So first, one of your most favorite watches is the Breitling Super Ocean Heritage. Okay. What's next?
A very close second spot is an easy guess. It's my Rolex Submariner.
Okay.
It's kind of my collection coming of age. I bought
Uh-huh.
this for my 32nd birthday.
Yeah.
It has been sabotaging my collection ever since.
And Rolex does have that effect on your collection, true.
I mean, I've had this since August 2019.
Okay.
And it has 50% of the wrist time since then.
Wow.
I mean, all the rest of the rotation is built around this watch.
Yeah.
I mean, I always try to wear a new watch every day.
Yeah.
But this one, until I get bored of it and I really want to change.
Yeah. But I
So
don't think this is going to happen, right? I mean, this was a very considered, very deliberate purchase from your side.
oh yes, it was a very well thought out purchase, and I've
Yeah.
talked about the process behind getting this watch on the
Yeah.
group before.
Yeah.
Uh, 2 years into the hobby, I really wanted to get my first Rolex,
Yeah.
and I had been searching across countries, continents, and finally, our home AD came
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
And most of my other watches had been bought there,
Yeah.
so they were kind enough to offer this one to me.
Sure. Sure.
I had been politely coaxing them for a few months, and they finally let me choose. It was a big day for me. They let me
Yeah.
choose between the no date, the date, and the Hulk.
Wow.
I mean, in
So,
hindsight, I should have picked the Hulk, but I think I made the right decision.
sure. Sure.
I chose the no date for several reasons. I
Yeah.
like the cleaner, symmetrical aesthetic,
Right.
and I wouldn't have to worry about setting to AM or PM time
Yeah.
or setting the date for everywhere.
Right. Right.
And I also at that time saw the cost of having a date as having another watch in my collection.
Well,
I
that
mean,
is
it's a
absolutely
significant
true.
price
Yeah,
difference.
it is. There is.
So
Yeah.
I thought you could also get another watch for that price and not
Yeah.
have the date.
See, you're thinking absolutely like a collector then.
Yeah. And again, my first Rolex and not the best reason, but I must admit it, I wanted the biggest text on the dial to read Rolex, not the
Yeah.
date.
Right.
On the date version, the date is the largest
Yeah.
text.
Well, yes, of course.
Yeah. So
Wonderful.
this has been another perfect buying decision for me after the Breitling.
All right.
And I mean, I've looped in a lot of close family members into the purchase. So my mom took delivery of this watch. My dad wore it before it came to me. My girlfriend, my then girlfriend and now wife, brought it
Yeah.
to me from India.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
And I proposed to her wearing this watch. And we got married, I was wearing this watch. So this is
Oh,
kind
beautiful.
of,
Beautiful. What a
this
story.
has a big story with it.
Yeah, yeah. So even if you would like to eventually upgrade and move on, this would not go anywhere, right?
I don't think I could or I would want to upgrade. I mean, if there is watch I would like to get, I would only want to complement it with something else.
Sure,
This is not something I would replace or upgrade.
sure. Wonderful. Absolutely. Okay, so it's two watches now. What's your third most favorite watch in your collection?
My third favorite at the moment is my Omega Speedmaster,
Okay.
60th anniversary limited edition.
The 1957 trilogy.
In a
piece,
sea
yeah?
of limited editions, this is the one
true.
that speaks to me.
Oh, beautiful watch. Absolutely amazing watch.
3,
there.
5, 5, 7 pieces.
Yeah.
I am lucky to have found one that was made right at the end, towards
Yeah.
the end of their production run. And I owe it partly to you.
Yes.
You know how
Oh,
last
yes.
GPG we were talking about it. This has
Yeah.
this had been listed on our marketplace for a few months, and I had
Yeah.
been stocking it.
Yeah.
But I never bought pre-owned before,
Uh-huh.
and because I prefer that the watch's history starts with me.
Sure.
So I thought I had missed the boat on this one. But our discussion reassured that the
Yeah.
seller is quite credible and it's a very
Yeah.
small group of vetted people.
Exactly. I mean, the seller was very credible, and
Exactly.
I know him personally, so it made absolute perfect sense for you to get this watch since you were so fixated on this. You could have easily got any other regular Speedmaster and been happy, but this actually is one of the best Speedmaster editions in the recent past.
Correct. And I've made a good friend in him now.
Oh, really? That's
it was
wonderful.
a win-win. So I earned a friend and a watch.
Oh wow, so that's one of the beauties of the hobby, right? We connect people, we
Absolutely.
get in touch with amazing people that way. Okay.
It's a near exact reissue of the first Omega Speedmaster,
Yeah.
CK2915 from 1957. For my slimmer wrist, the restrained case size of 38.6 works very well.
Yeah.
The bracelet is very dressy, which I like.
Right.
The straight lugs.
Yeah.
The tachymeter text is in French.
Yeah.
It has a Dawn bezel, broad arrow hands, applied Omega logo, and the original Omega Speedmaster signature without the professional mention. Yeah. And I'll make a special fourth mention to my
Please.
latest Rolex Daytona.
Oh,
The
wonderful.
watch that has been a super grail to me. And I didn't believe I could get one until I did.
Yeah.
And it's also special because it's dated to my 33rd birthday.
Oh,
So it's kind of becoming a theme that I'm getting
Yeah.
one watch every birthday.
Yeah. Sure.
And
One Rolex every birthday, right? The other watches can still be bought on and off.
I think it's done now, so we can not classify it under Rolex.
Sure,
Maybe
sure.
the next one is another brand.
Yeah, well, we sure hope to. I mean, I would wish that you get all the Rolex that you want, but there are so many other watches to be enjoyed and appreciated.
True. And when I started in getting into Rolex, or when I was trying to get my second, I thought I would not get two of the same case.
Yeah,
So I would differentiate either the case or some design element. I don't want to keep collecting the same case.
right. Sure, sure.
So I have the Oyster Perpetual 39,
Okay,
then I have the Maxi Case Submariner,
sure.
and I have the Daytona.
Daytona.
So
Okay.
all three are different cases, different
Right,
styles.
right. No, that's good. And for whatever flag that Rolex gets these days, I think they make some of the most amazing, best, and really good watches for the money, for brand value, for history, for heritage, for overall collectability. Rolex makes amazing watches that way.
Absolutely. Once you peel through all those layers of hype, branding,
Sure.
social perception,
Yeah.
you really see what the watch is. And I remember Jack Foster from Hodinkee said, it's amazing how you buy a watch for one reason and find yourself admiring it for another, which is absolutely, I think, the
Oh
case for
yes.
Rolexes.
Oh
And every time I pick a watch and I'm making a sizable spend, I try to keep it very versatile,
yeah.
that it goes to work or for casual or to parties.
Sure.
When I'm out for a drink, it works everywhere,
Yeah.
yet it's not very blingy.
Right. Right.
So I can be comfortable wearing it in public because I'm a very outdoorsy person. So I just hop on a bike, go out everywhere. So I need the watch to, reflect that character and not be so loud that
Right.
I feel out of place in any situation.
Right. So you kind of basically answered my next question that I was going to ask you is what is your collection philosophy? And you just said so. It could
Yeah.
be you need a versatile watch that could be paired up or down, could go anywhere with you.
Right.
Right.
That's the only way how I can justify owning one and
Yeah.
getting the most wear out of.
Sure.
And yeah, I mean, more power to everyone, and each to their own what their collecting
Yeah.
philosophy is. Some
Yeah.
people just collect dive watches, and
Right.
some people just collect pilot watches.
Sure.
And if it makes them happy, sure, why not?
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
when I'm spending, I look for each piece to be different from the
Right.
previous one, and yet do all those things that the previous one does.
Yeah. Well, wonderful. I think it's wonderful to know your collection philosophy. Okay, let's move on. Um, what are any regrets in the hobby? Any watches that you missed acquiring? Any watches that you sold and now miss? Any watches that you regret purchasing?
I think my biggest regret in the hobby is not living close to well-stocked dealerships.
Okay.
So ADs here, apart from a few brands, are not very well stocked.
Okay.
And I don't get to try a lot of watches before I buy them,
Okay.
which means I often have to learn that a watch is not for me the hard way.
Yeah, sure, sure. That makes sense. Yeah.
All my watches, barring the odd impulse purchase, they
Yeah.
have been made over phone in India. And I
Uh,
don't get to the watch for months.
uh-huh.
And when I find out it's not for me, it's already too late to send it back.
Right, right. And then you have to get in the hassle of selling it, flipping it, listing it.
Correct.
Right, right, sure. And as a person who's sold a lot of watches, you buy a lot, that's fair. But you also sold a lot of watches. What
Yeah.
has your experience taught you? Is selling easy? Should people try and sell their watches?
I mean, not as a business, but if you shouldn't sell your watch because you want something else.
Hmm.
I mean, if you have fallen out of that watch and fallen out of love for it, and someone else can give it wrist time. So my usual criteria is if it hasn't been worn for 2 months, I'm not missing it.
Yeah,
So
yeah. 60
it
days,
is,
I think that's a pretty good
yeah.
parameter. Yeah, sure.
And I'm not a person with a very large collection. At max, I've had 54 watches, which
Okay.
I've continuously cut down.
Mhm.
Now I'm at 16.
Okay.
So in 16 watches, if you're not wearing them,
Yeah,
one of them you're not wearing for 60 days, it means
Yeah.
it's time to go.
sure, sure. 16 means about once every 2 weeks or so, a watch should get its due. Yeah,
Correct. Yeah,
I think that's a good parameter to have.
correct. Exactly. So that's what happened with my Hamilton. I wanted in my box, but I didn't want to wear it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it happens to others, but there have been watches that I don't
Yeah.
want to let go because
Yeah.
I want them in my box because
Yeah.
apparently they check boxes.
Yes, yeah, true.
Now I don't want to check any boxes. I want to have watches that I can wear frequently,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I mean they're getting me their money's worth.
Sure. I think a lot of viewers will, resonate with this aspect of the hobby, where they collect a lot and then they realize that something is not for them, and yet they don't want to get rid of it. I know a lot of
Right.
people who have a lot of watches, but they don't know how to sell it. So they're just reluctant to sell it. They're like, you know what, I don't want to sell. That's okay.
True.
I'll just keep it with me. But sometimes, somewhere in the back of their mind, it's always playing on their mind that I have a lot of watches with me, but I'm not utilizing them. So I think somewhere I also agree with you that it's better to have a smaller collection which you will enjoy and utilize more, rather than just have hundreds of watches which they'll never see the light of day.
Right. So for me, I don't like to see empty boxes.
Yeah.
So now my philosophy is that I keep a box smaller than my collection. So it helps me cut
Okay.
down.
Wonderful.
So
I
if
think
I
that's
have
a
eight
good way to,
watches,
yeah.
I like to keep a
Sure.
six slot box.
Yeah, and two you can rotate here and there. So that
Yeah.
sounds good. That's a good
Yeah.
philosophy to have. Any watches that you sold and now miss?
Uh, Sold and are now missed. Not really, actually. Uh, if they hit the chopping block, I must have fallen out of love for
No,
them,
no, no.
or
Okay.
they were enabling something I loved more.
Yeah.
And I'd rather have them tell the time to someone else than sit
Sure.
and long for
Sure.
wear in my
Sure.
box. And I see those watches as new friends made in the people who bought them.
Oh yeah, certainly. I agree.
I've
So any
made a lot
watches
of
that
friends
you,
through
yeah,
selling.
any watches that you regret purchasing?
Regret purchasing the first 10 after the first one.
Yeah.
I mean, but that was a learning curve. I wouldn't
Yeah.
call it a regret.
Right.
The only regret would be my Carl F. Bucherer Monero.
Okay.
This was again bought over the phone,
Yeah.
and I think it was my mistake more than anyone else's, because
Okay.
I was browsing on Joma Shop for
Uh-huh.
this watch, looking at pictures, and there were two watches that looked the same. And I tried to scroll through those three pictures that each listing has, front, side, and back. And the only difference I could spot was a tang buckle versus a deployant buckle.
Okay. Okay.
So I went with the deployant buckle,
Okay.
which is quite nice.
Right.
But I didn't notice that both were different in size. They were 4 millimeter apart in case size.
So this one is the bigger 42
This is
millimeters.
the 42.
Okay.
And for my wrist, I think the 38 is a better
Ah,
fit.
okay. Okay.
So I have a
Okay.
16 centimeter wrist. A
Okay.
38 is a better fit.
Right.
And again, by the time I got to it, it had already been purchased for 6 months.
Mhm.
So it couldn't be sent back.
Right. Sure. Sure. Okay. Um, what does watch collecting signify for you in your life? What do you think the hobby can mean more than just buying and accumulating watches?
I mean, watch collecting to me has been a journey of self discovery and development. I've learned values that were not essentially a part of my personality,
Okay.
and I still learn something new every day.
Yeah.
I have always lived in the now and today, and we want what we want it now.
Yeah.
But collecting has really taught me to set personal goals and then find the motivation to work hard towards them. And sometimes even working hard isn't enough. Then you need to be patient and wait for one to be given to you.
Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So all those personality traits I think I didn't have until I got into collecting.
Okay.
So that's been a big learning curve.
Yeah.
If you can't get the watch you want, don't go with the second best. It may
Yeah.
not be as fulfilling.
True.
That's
True.
something I've learned.
Yeah.
I've also learned that the watch you may want the most is not necessarily the watch you love the most.
Yeah.
Once it's on the wrist, it may be a different feeling.
Sure. Sure.
Once you've
That,
spent a
yeah.
few months with it, it may wear differently and
Yeah.
you may feel differently about it.
Right. I think that's
And
a very good point, because a lot of people fall in love with the watch based on perceptions and on how the watch has been presented to them by friends, family, or the person across the counter. And once they actually get it, it's a very different feel and a very different watch to them. Yeah, I get it.
absolutely, absolutely. A classic example is the Rolex Submariner.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to get one, and the sibling Yachtmaster is often ignored, but
Yeah.
it fits so much better. It's a
Yeah.
great fit. For
Mhm.
smaller wrists,
Yeah.
it makes more sense to get the Yachtmaster over the Submariner.
Now, those are fighting words in the Rolex community, my friend.
True, true. Also,
Okay.
I've found fuel to another hobby in photography. I mean,
Oh
I've
yeah.
always enjoyed sharing my perspective through photos,
Sure.
and in watches, I've now found my one constant subject. I
Uh-huh.
don't need to look for what to shoot today or
Right.
what do I
Right.
need to click.
Yeah.
Now I know what I need to click, and one watch can look very different to different eyes.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
You
Absolutely.
click
Even
the
a
same
strap
watch, I
change
click
can.
the same
Yeah.
watch,
Yeah.
and I mean, strap changes like you're saying, it
Yeah.
can look very different.
Yeah.
And there's a
Absolutely.
lot you can do with photography with just one watch.
Oh yes. Certainly.
So,
Certainly.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I fuel my hobby in photography through watches now.
Wonderful.
And
So
then
do
comes the buying and accumulating part, and it
well.
cannot be
The,
ignored,
the
really.
hunt is always the charm, right? I mean, you feel that adrenaline
It
rush,
keeps
and you
you on
say,
your toes. And,
"Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Where can I find it? Who can I get it
yeah.
from?"
And then finally, something comes up at a very good price, and you're
Yeah.
not ready. And
Yeah.
before you pull the trigger with half
Yeah.
preparedness, you
Yeah.
want it to get sold.
Yeah, true, true. You're
I'm
praying that it
always
gets
looking.
sold, but then you're also praying that it may not. Give me a couple of days, give me a week or
May
so,
not, yes, correct,
Yeah.
exactly. So I mean, it's fun.
Yeah, yeah,
All that
true.
part is very enjoyable.
Wonderful. So any incident that you in the hobby that you want to share with us?
Since in the hobby, I mean, I can share a few. So the
Please.
AP dealership here,
Yeah.
they have me confused for someone else
Oh,
who
in
owns
what?
a Ferrari in the city.
Just tell them it's you.
I have neither confirmed nor declined their assumption. I mean, I let them believe what they want
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
And they offer me watches that are way outside my comfort zone, but
Okay.
it's always amazing that they treat you with such respect,
Yeah.
and they call you in and show you all those watches.
Right.
So I mean, when AP came here on
Yeah.
launch day, they invited me to the party.
Okay. Okay.
I'd been in touch with a Tudor representative, and
Okay.
AP was brought to the country by the same
Mm-hmm.
group.
Okay.
So they invited me to the AP event, and they already had me confused for that guy.
Okay.
So they offered me a blue Royal Oak in frosted white gold.
Oh wow. Okay.
It was such a spectacular watch.
Sure.
I mean, it
Sure.
was way out of my comfort spending zone. I
Uh-huh.
couldn't have bought it, but I feel fortunate to have held it and tried
Right.
it on my wrist.
Right.
So that's one trivia. The
Wonderful. So,
funniest one,
yeah.
although, would be with Ethos, my preferred, AD of
Yeah.
choice.
Yeah.
The first watch that I bought, the Breitling Super Ocean.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, everyone told me it runs on your wrist movements, and it doesn't require a battery.
Yeah.
Nobody told me it stops when you don't wear it. So after 3 days of having it on the bedside,
Yeah.
I mean, I saw it stopped working. And I frantically called them, it's not working. You need to take this back and give me a new one. And they were trying to explain me, this is an automatic. This
Yeah.
will happen this way.
Yeah.
Are you sure you're not going to take this back and give me a new one? And on the very opposite side, I've also had some bad experiences.
Sure.
In Thailand, one of the Grand Seiko ADs refused to let me try on any of their watches.
Why?
I mean, they said, which one do you like? If you agree to the price, we'll let you try.
Oh my
If you
God.
agree to the price and agree to buying, then we'll
Yeah.
let you try.
Sure.
I mean, that's not good salesmanship, I think.
Yeah.
But
Well.
I really wrote it off as a one-off case.
Mm, true.
And
True.
the Grand Seiko ADs in India have been very kind. They've always invited me over
Certainly. No,
to
no,
come
the
and
response here
try
has been
some.
very good, and the Grand Seiko ADs here are really, really active that way. They want to
I
sell
think
you
all
stuff.
ADs, for that matter, they're most welcoming in our home country. I've always found most relatability back home.
Okay. So, what watch is next for you? What's on your hit list?
Hit list, I mean, it changes every day. Every night of binging on videos, it changes every day, which is
Sure.
why I haven't committed to the next watch yet.
Right.
But it's probably going to be one of these three, four options, whichever works out, and
Okay.
it's destined to be with me. The
So, what
first
are the
one is
options?
a
Yeah.
Cartier Santos
Okay.
on bracelet and the tan leather strap. Again,
Okay.
it falls into that versatility that I always look for.
Right.
Uh, I can wear it casually, or I can wear to work with the strap.
Mm-hmm.
So it's quite versatile for me.
Okay.
And second one is a long time dream, which is the Breitling Navitimer.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
I mean, the Navitimer is one watch that you can spot from 20 meters away. You don't know what
Right.
watch it is, but you
Right.
see the slide rule and
Yeah.
the contrast subdials,
True.
and you can tell it's a Navitimer.
True. I
So,
agree. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it's one of those watches that has always taken a backseat because it's always been available.
Right.
So that's the second one. The third is a JLC master calendar, the triple calendar,
Sure.
reference Q1558420. I remember it because I Google it thrice a day. So yeah, that's a beautiful watch. Discontinued last year. They updated the size to 40 and
Yeah.
they made some significant improvements, which
Right.
also I like.
Right.
But the 1 increase in size takes it closer to my Booker, which I want to stay away from.
Sure. Sure.
So I'd prefer to get the previous generation.
Okay. Okay.
The
And the
fourth is a
fourth,
Grand Seiko Ivory Dial GMT.
the
We've
SBGM
spoken about
221. Yeah.
exactly. That's a watch I love in videos. I haven't seen in person.
Yeah.
In fact, I've not seen the JLC also in person. So
Okay.
next purchase will be after I've seen all of these four together or
Sure.
maybe separately, but at least see them in person, try them on, and
Right.
then make a call.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay. So, okay. So these are that's your that was your short-term goal. Was that your long-term goal? One of these four.
These are probably my 2021, I mean,
Okay.
the next
So
birthday goal.
next birthday goal.
Oh,
So this year. Okay. So
end
what
year
would be
goal.
your long-term goal then?
Long-term goal is something that I want to go completely against my collecting philosophy. I don't want to look for versatility in that piece. I am waiting for a really special occasion, some big promotion or a new addition to the family,
Sure.
to
Yeah.
get a very special piece,
Mm-hmm.
something preferably in gold.
Yeah.
I don't know what my taste at that time will be, but for now, what I feel one of those could be a sector dial Calatrava,
Oh, okay. Okay.
a Guilloche dial traditional,
Mm-hmm.
a Lange 1815 up down,
Okay.
and the fourth is a Royal Oak in rose gold, Royal Oak
Okay.
chronograph.
Chronograph and rose gold.
Yeah,
Okay.
so the white dial and rose gold. I mean,
Okay.
that was a watch I got to try, and it was
Mm-hmm.
absolutely spectacular. I think it's the AP to get for me.
I like how you've kind of made up your mind about your long-term and short-term goals. You have four options with you, and whichever one is right there, whichever one is up for grabs at that point, you would go with that.
Right. So I have 4 or 5 core pieces in that take care of the everyday.
Right.
And what I'm missing is that special piece for some
Right.
special occasions.
Sure.
I think the Cartier Tank could also do it. The Cartier Santos could also do it.
Right.
But this would be only and when there is a very special occasion to mark. So the
Sure.
long-term goal is
Sure.
delayed for that.
Wonderful. Well, the conversation has been amazing with you, Abhishek. I mean, I've really enjoyed talking to you about collecting, and even though we interact almost on a daily basis, this is something that's been missing from our conversations until
Absolutely.
now.
We've
It's
never
wonderful.
really had a heart-to-heart. We've spoken
Yeah.
business and how to do
I
things.
know.
But
I know.
yeah,
Yeah.
this has been a
Okay.
good hour.
So, would you like to say something before we close?
I would just like to share my 2 cents of advice to our fellow
Please.
collectors.
Please.
I mean, from what I've learned, and
Yeah.
I've not been in the hobby for very long, but
Mhm.
I've learned a few things that are really helpful to me. So we often get carried away by the next watch seeming so close
Yeah.
and break the bank. But it's always, necessary to enjoy the hobby responsibly. You
Yeah.
will not be able to enjoy the next watch fully if you are under some kind of financial duress, if you have
Sure.
stretched yourself, or if you were not meant to make that purchase right
Yeah.
just yet.
Yeah.
So enjoy it responsibly.
Mhm.
Try to have some semblance of an alignment with the family. I mean, if you're always trying to hide your next purchase.
I know, and it's a recurring theme that a lot of collectors say that I made an extravagant purchase. I need to hide it and not completely be honest with my family about it. I don't
Right.
think it gives you all 100% enjoyment of that watch. It's
Correct.
always playing on at the back of your mind that I've done something bad, or some not just bad, but I'm hiding something. I'm not completely honest with myself, with my family. So yeah,
Correct.
I completely agree with
So
you.
I feel very fortunate that my wife and my family, parents are all in agreement that,
Yeah.
I mean, you can enjoy a little with your money. and
Yeah.
it's okay to, do things for yourself, keep yourself
Right.
motivated.
Right.
So that,
Yeah.
and
Okay. And before
I
we,
think please
yes,
be
please go ahead.
nice to all fellow enthusiasts in general. This is a
Yeah.
hobby where we meet to unwind and
Yeah.
not to flex.
Yeah.
Different people are coming or escaping from different situations in life
True. True.
and coming together to relieve some stress. And
Yeah.
different people are in different stages of collecting, so we can all be nice to each other. It doesn't matter how good or bad our collection is
Yeah.
or what stage it is. Kindness never hurts.
Oh,
We make the
certainly.
hobby fun together. Collecting in
Absolutely.
isolation would not be fun.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with you because, that has been the founding principle of WEI.
I agree. This is
We've
a
always
forum
wanted.
where,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't see that happening here,
Yeah.
but on a lot of other groups, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I see that, and
Yeah.
it's a group I want to exit immediately.
Thank you so much for your words of confidence. Let's do a quick wrist check before we close. What are you wearing today?
I'm wearing the
Oh, yeah.
Seiko Speedmaster 7828
Yeah.
7010.
So this was featured in one of the Bond movies, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not sure. I just fell in love with this watch seeing it on Arvind's wrist. Arvind on our group,
Yes.
he wears this quite frequently and he carries
Right.
it off with such style. And there's something
Yeah.
that just works about this watch.
Right.
It is very clean
Yeah.
and it is still a chronograph. I
Yeah.
think another watch that works similarly is the Omega Alaska project.
Okay. Wonderful.
Speedmaster Alaska project, which is the
Yes.
white dial,
Yes. Yes.
that also seems quite similar to me in terms of
True.
the clean dial.
True. True.
And I really liked how it bore on his wrist, and his wrist and mine are quite similar in size. So
Right.
I could get a good sense of how it
Yeah.
will wear on mine. But this has been the longest find. It took me
Yeah.
over a year to find this one.
Okay.
The Rolexes have been easier.
Sure.
And again,
So,
thanks to Arvind, he
yeah.
located this and found it for me. And I
Oh,
mean,
wow.
I couldn't
Wonderful.
let it go.
So I'm wearing the Casio G-Shock All Steel on my right wrist, and on my left is the Grand Seiko.
I know
Grand
your
Seiko.
Seiko Saturdays are sabotaged by
Oh,
that, man.
yeah. So SBGS 267, the Whirlpool
That's
limited
a
edition.
beautiful, beautiful watch. I got to
It
try
is.
yours back
Yes.
in 2020.
Yeah.
And again, one of my regrets that I'm not in Delhi, so I cannot try everyone's watches more
Yeah.
frequently.
So
And
hopefully, when we do our meet next, I hope that you'll be there to join us.
definitely, if there are flights, I will be there.
Oh yeah, certainly. So thank you, Abhishek. This has been wonderful talking to you. It's been amazing to get to know you on a personal level, and you're a great member of the community, and I wish you the very best. And the purpose of this kind of collector's perspective episodes is to bring to focus the collectors who drive the hobby. We could talk to n number of designers and brands and CEOs, but it's the heart of the community is the collector. And thank you so much for taking
Absolutely,
the time out.
absolutely. It is the collectors who make the hobby. I agree with it entirely. And congratulations for you to have 2,600 of those collectors in one place together. And I
Well, I
hope you
hope.
keep doing this.
Yeah, thank you so much for your confidence and for all your participation and help during all these months and years.
It is my pleasure and honor. Thank you so much.
All right.